problem. And those of us who pretend we are not in recession, we're in dreamland, we have a serious problem. And when we have a serious problem, we lose jobs. We lose jobs, we cannot look after a family. For every Nigerian who is employed, we look after 5 or 10 different people. Every job is precious. We cannot afford to lose any job in Nigeria. And we cannot afford to create problems. And before I leave, I know the 2 great governors we have here are members of the economic team. Let me say something real quick. We need to have a minister of common sense appointed into this administration. And I'll tell you why. We have airlines flying into Nigeria, taking our money out of our country. We have maybe only one employing Nigerians. A minister of common sense will go to the minister of aviation and say, all right, for every airline flying into Nigeria, 25% of all staff should be Nigerians. That'll be a start. The minister of common sense will go to the minister of external affairs and say, we charge £100 to get a visa in England to come here. And because we charge £100 from England, the British Embassy in Nigeria charges the equivalent. If we charge no money in England, the British Embassy here charges no money. Imagine the billions of naira live in our economy because they charge. Now, the reason we charge in England is because the government never remits the salaries on time. They need the money to survive. So if we had an efficient system of government and we stop charging embassies abroad where we have a net outflow of capital, we would save billions of naira in our economy. The Minister of Common Sense will direct the Minister of External Affairs to do just that. We furnish our embassies abroad. We take naira, convert it to dollars to buy a bottle of Coke for $1. We sell a bottle of Coke here for 60 kobo, 70 kobo. We can get containers and move our Coke, our carpet, our furniture, and furnish all 83 embassies all over the world. Common sense. And we can save millions and millions of dollars of money being transported out of our country to furnish embassies abroad. After all, the American embassy in Nigeria has, they import the Coca-Cola from America here, and you go there, you get foreign food. If they can have foreign food in Nigeria, we can have eba and okra soup in New York. Common sense. We take a common sense approach to governance, and we think intelligently, and we decongest our ports. And it takes 48 hours for goods and services to arrive. And we save that money. We can then make it possible to save a great amount of money in our economy, to make it possible for us to spend that money in a productive sector. Common sense. A minister of common sense needs no budget. Minister of common sense needs to be a bunch of private sector people supervising ministers where money is actually spent. And the minister of common sense will go to a minister and say, okay, these policies are wrong. You go to Minister of Internal Affairs and say, well, I cut my hair the other day and the barber was a foreigner. Well, it doesn't take a genius to cut my hair. Therefore, how did the guy who cut my hair get a visa to come to Nigeria and get work permit? After all, if you were a barber, you couldn't get work permit in New York. Common sense. We can save jobs. We can create wealth. We can develop our economies. We can grow this nation to a great nation. But to do that, we get focused on the ministries we run, and we lose sight of what is truly important: creating wealth, creating jobs, and making it possible for us to have a living in a civilized society. So when you wake up in the morning, you have light so you can iron your clothes. You have a transport system so you can get to work. You look good. You have one meal a day. At lunchtime, you go home and you go to bed with your wife, your loved ones, your parents, like a decent human being. Common sense. That is what we need in this country. And as we grow and develop, we must honor people like Adams Oshomole. We must honor people like the Lagos State Governor, Governor Fashola. We must encourage them in that economic council. We must encourage President Yaradua to appoint this minister. And the reason why it's easy, he doesn't need any budget. He doesn't need a car. You get a bunch of intelligent people come together to supervise ministries where all that money is made. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you very much for taking the time to be here today. I thank you for making it possible for have a wonderful time. This is an annual event. You've raised almost 40 million naira to the great one. I wish you a safe journey back home. Thank you all very much and good night.
about now, the reason why we are here, you know. I predict for you 2009, as long as you love yourself and you love your neighbor. Washere, pepe,